a story from Home Depot demonstrates the power of going the extra mile, of being resourceful. I live in a community of 45,000 people. It's a bedroom community outside of Toronto. And there's a little fella, his older brother got his first part-time job, probably 16. And the little brother is about 8 years of age, and he says, "Dad, I want to get a part-time job too. I want to be just like my older brother." And so Dad says, yeah, okay, well, fine. He's not going to explain to him that he can't have a job, but he doesn't want to disappoint his son. And he figures, well, this will probably be the last time he'll ever hear about his interest in a part-time job. So that was fine until they went into Home Depot one day, at which point the little guy says, "Hey, Dad, I want to work at Home Depot. I love it here. I like to build things. This would be a great place for me to work." So Dad thinks this isn't going to go away, at least not yet. So he says, "Well, what we should do, son, is we should write a letter to Home Depot and explain to them that you would like to have a part-time job." So they did. They went home, they wrote the letter, they came back to Home Depot, and they handed it in at the customer service desk. Now Dad's convinced this is it, right? I've been a good dad, I've looked after this. They go home. He figures an 8-year-old kid's memory is what, about 20 seconds? He figures he's in the clear again. Anyway, a couple of weeks later they go back into Home Depot. The father has completely forgotten about the letter, but the son says, "Dad, I haven't heard back from Home Depot about my job yet. Can we stop at the customer service desk and ask about my job?" This poor father's thinking, "Oh man, I remember now," but he's afraid to go to the customer service desk because he doesn't want to disappoint his son. Anyway, they go up to the customer service desk and he introduces himself and starts with, "My son had dropped off an application," all the while thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Well, the woman behind the counter says, "Oh, we're so glad you've come back. You didn't put your name and address on your letter. It's been pinned up on our bulletin board, and we didn't have any way of getting through to you. We're so delighted to have you join the staff." Well, the kid is delighted, and the father can't believe it. Well, it turns out that Home Depot has workshops for little kids on the weekends. You may have seen them in your local store. They have an area set up, and on Saturday morning the kids come in and they make things like bird feeders. The wood and everything's all pre-cut and they just need to glue and nail. So this little 8-year-old guy became the assistant of the person who ran the program. He handed out the wood. He made sure that they all had glue, and they gave him his own little apron and his hat, and he walked around helping the instructor. Obviously pleased as punch. And at the end of the program, both the instructor and this little fellow signed that they had participated, and everyone got their certificates. And so that was his job. So let's think about what's happened here. Do you think the father has told anybody? Maybe told all his friends and family? And the friends and family, what do you think they think about Home Depot now that they may not have thought before? Do you think it got any further than friends and family? It was in the newspaper. That's where I heard about it. I read all about it in the newspaper, and this was published in the local, not the Toronto Star, the Auroran. And everybody in Aurora reads the Auroran. Every word, because it's all about our friends and neighbors. We all want to know what's going on with our friends and neighbors, and there's this story prominently positioned on the front page. They had the name, they had the picture, they had the whole bit. So do you think the people of Aurora have a slightly different perspective of Home Depot now than they did before? And of course, Lowe's and Canadian Tire and Home Hardware all compete for those people's business right in the local community. I've written a blog about it. Other people have found out about it. Other people have talked about it. It's become a little bit of a mini good news story. It's a massive what? Woohoo, right? Everybody's feeling good about what Home Depot did because one person said, "How do we be a little innovative here? We've got a unique situation. What can we do in this situation?" Didn't cost them anything, but think of the free press they've gotten out of that in the local community. Now, I think Home Depot is pretty smart. They've now captured that story and they've put it together with some other similar stories. They've created their own Woohoo book that's being shared across the entire North American Home Depot chain. And all of the retailers can read it and say, aha, now I understand how I bring the service principles of Home Depot to life. That's what those stories do. It provides the guidelines as opposed to rules. I hate the concept of rules. Let's just give us guidelines. Let's recognize that we hire intelligent people that are aligned with our values and our principles. Let them do what they do. If they're engaged and if they're empowered and they want to be exceptional and they want to be valued partners, aren't they going to do those kind of things naturally? I say yes.